in Insight Lab number 7. A consistent theme that you're hearing probably throughout the Insight Labs, now you're about halfway through them today, and then also with a lot of those main stage presentations is the importance of data. A really exciting thing about the world that we live in now is that there is so much data available to us, but unless we can put that into a format where we can see it, visualize it, and something where it's easily digestible to create those actionable insights, it doesn't even mean anything to us. So iProspect knows this. We've listened to our clients. We know that this is a huge need of everybody that we work with. And so what we're going to talk about today is iReport. Give you guys a quick introduction. iReport is iProspect's standardized reporting solution for the data management and visualization of reporting. So my name is Kathleen Dowse. I'm with Project Management and Operations team out of San Diego.
And I'm James Parkington. I'm the Director of Data Journalism. And to echo what Kathleen said, there's a lot of data out there. We all know that. Sometimes it feels like it's too much. But what iReport is, more than just an enterprise reporting solution, it's an opportunity for us as an agency to carve through all that big data to give you what you need to expand your stories about your brands and understand what performance is doing over time so you can keep growing that business. So you heard a little bit from Kathleen about the vision behind iReport, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail about that as well. But we want to also talk about what makes us unique in the marketplace and why we're in a good place to deliver you a kind of product you maybe haven't seen before. We're also going to talk about the features that come preloaded with iReport, the channels, the partners, the metrics, the dimensions you get right off the bat with our turnkey solution.
And then what's really exciting about this Insight Lab is that James is going to build a report on the fly. We are going to demo iReport for you. And then we're going to jump into what's the future look like with iProspect for you and with reporting. So one thing that we all have in common, we have a number of people in this room. Some of you I've had a chance to meet. Some of you I haven't had a chance to meet yet. The fact that we are all in marketing is one thing that bonds all of us. We are constantly trying to drive consumer behavior. That's what we do. And so what the goal that iProspect does and all of our team members is to give you those actionable insights so that you can really drive your business performance for your brands.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kathleen said, we've been at this for a long time. It's 20 years of client engagements, and with every single one of those engagements, reporting is a part of the conversation. So that gives us a lot of opportunities to work directly with you to figure out which of those reporting ideas are good, which of those reporting ideas aren't working so well. And every now and again, we get one that's so good that we can take it back and integrate it into our holistic idea of what reporting is. And that's what iReport aims to do. It's the common ground of a lot of those best ideas in reporting that we've been able to work on with you and take back to our environment, and then we can service you with something that's even greater. So what allowed us to get to a point where we understand what the best ideas are? Well, one thing that I really liked about Jeremy's intro to Summit was the idea that we're all marching in the same direction as an agency. And that's not only true for the way we think about the business as a whole, but it's true for every constituent part of that. We're all marching in the same direction the way we think about data, analysis, and we're all working from the same place. iReport is truly a product of that collaboration. It's a support leg for the teams that are aiming to march in the same direction to get you what you need, and that's what this reflects. We're all part of that same world, which is your data.
Yeah, definitely. And so we have 8 offices throughout the US, and you may have a campaign running out of New York for your paid social, or SEO running out of San Diego. You may have a number of team members throughout our offices coming together in order to create a very big picture look at how we're approaching your campaigns. And so we work with the technology team out of Texas. So Nate Ice, VP of Technology, is in the back of the room ready to answer some questions as we move forward. And so the big thing with what iProspect can offer is that we use our technology team to build a foundation to bring together all of those offices so that we're taking a really holistic and integrated approach to the way that we're giving you insights and recommendations. So as mentioned earlier, iReport is iProspect's standardized reporting solution for both that data management, supported by the tech team, and the visualization, which is really spearheaded by our data and insights team. Right out of the gate, this is what you receive.
Yeah, and everything that you see here in the turnkey solution is composed in a flexible way, which is incredibly important. Another insight I'm sure you've heard a lot is the idea that this is the slowest that the industry is going to be moving. It's just going to continue to get faster and faster and faster. And so the product and the model that we build needs to be flexible in the same way so we can scale with your business, so we can understand why the industry is changing and we can respond effectively. And so one of the constituent parts of that I really like talking about is signified by that iProspect logo in the corner there. Now, everyone in the room here knows we're not a display partner like the rest of these logos here, but what that represents is our commitment to not only making the front end flexible as possible with the graphs and the tables and the type of data you receive, but also the back end is designed in a flexible way so client teams can get exactly what they need out of the data they're collecting. So, like Kathleen mentioned, there's a whole host of tools developed by Nate and his team down in Fort Worth that make it easier for client teams to mold the information coming in so that it accurately reflects exactly what you need to continue driving your business. And the media cost tool is one example of that. Another is iDimensions, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, which lets you put any kind of dimension value, any kind of way you think about trends, you can map that against campaigns, placements, tweet decks, ads, whatever you need to be able to get the level of information that makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, and that's a really big piece of all this is that iProspect is really dedicated into advancing our product offering for you to meet your needs. So iReport is built by us, for you, so that we can really be strong to support. And so I'd like to introduce you to our friend Jack. Jack is a director of marketing for a brand in an extremely fast-paced industry, and Jack is faced with tough decisions on a daily basis. He has a consumer group who has lots of options, and he wants to keep them. So Jack needs to be nimble and quick in order to successfully jump over that candlestick. And so what we had mentioned kind of earlier in this presentation is that James is going to actually build a report on the fly for you. So in order to make sure that this is personalized and unique to this group and that we are answering your business questions, I'd like to invite you, if you have one of those iProspect logos on your table.
Next to your candlesticks.
Next to your candlesticks, if you want to hop up out of your seats and come put them up on this board. These are some key topics that you're going to see throughout these Insight Labs. And so we want to make sure we're answering your questions. I am happy to put it up there for you if you'd like. Which one?
Launching a new channel.
Okay.
Cool.
And then there's a few more on the tables.
I think there's like
come
7
on
or 8.
Come
Bring
on
them up. Bring them
up.
up. They're Velcro too. Velcro's fun.
You guys have another one over here?
Find the cross channel.
All right.
Which one? Cross channel or this one? Sure, it's not. There's 2 options.
May need a couple tiebreakers.
Okay.
All right, we have a tie over here. So, do we have?
Pick one that's most popular.
Okay, so
Okay. Let's do.
evaluating historical trends
Yeah,
has come up in
I
a
agree.
few of the topics. So we'll start there, and if we have time, we'll jump into the next one. So James is going to pull up a report with attached to a data mart built by the technology team. And go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so what evaluating historical trends is attempting to capture, you all just came from Ben and Liz's Insight Lab where they talk about how important it is to have a fully connected, fully operational data ecosystem. And the reason you want that is so you can understand what your data is doing over time, so you can evaluate your current performance against your past performance. And so that's what this data set is designed to represent. You're going to see a lot of historical data here and a lot of different ways to represent that data with all the dimensions that we talked about previously. So if I were coming into this environment and I wanted to know what was going on so far this year, I'd want to set a benchmark, right? And so what we can do, as you can see, there's a slider here. This is our top level title slide. And there are a bunch of others here, which I'll get into, so don't think that that's the whole iReport. There's lots and lots of stuff in here. But we can take a look at what year to date for the previous year looks like so far. So we're looking at January 1st to April 4th, which was yesterday. And you can see we had a return on ad spend of 2.7. And let's say that's our key KPI as a company here. So we can slide this slider and see what's going on for the current year for the same year-to-date time frame. And we can either slide the slider or type things into the box here, and that'll give us our top-level view. And you can see our return on ad spend has already improved over last year, which is great. That's our key metric, and we want to see if we can continue driving revenue at that same pace. So let's take that information that we have and dive into some of these other channels here, these other tabs. So here's the channel specific tab. There's a lot of information present here, more than just the numbers. I want to show you some of the functionality that comes pre-built into this environment. What's really cool and what I like to use as a starting point is this time brush at the top here. So you can see this is taking revenue by day across everything. And what we can do with that is we can drag against a specific section that we like. It looks like those days in particular are pretty high. I can let go of that and you can see that it's going to update the information based on what I just selected. And the filtering goes even deeper than that. So once we get the time frame that we want to look at, we can start pulling out specific pieces of the other charts here, which is really cool. You don't see this in a lot of reporting environments. Let's say with the time frame we've selected, it looks like paid search has the biggest piece of the pie there for return on ad spend. So we can click on that, and all of a sudden, the view is a little more specialized, and we're looking at paid search everywhere. There's filtering across the charts that allow for it, and there's highlighting across the charts that allow for it. And we can select multiple channels if we'd like to get them both in the same picture to see how they stack against one another. But it goes even further than that for this tab. So you got a lot of week information for this top right chart. You've got some date information here, and all of these are subject to being changed. So we can look at stuff on a daily level for that same time frame if we want, and you can see there's some clear seasonality at play in that chart. Or we can go even higher if we want. We don't want to look at date, maybe we want to look at month level information for what we've selected, and the seasonality is even more clear for those two channels that we selected. So let's keep going through here. So you saw that paid search had the highest ROAS of our 4 channels in this data set. So we can filter right off the bat with this tree map for paid search. This is organizing all of our channels by revenue that they've driven so far. We can click into that, and you'll see when I do that, the other charts are highlighting only the sections that are related to paid search. So non-branded, branded, and trademark. These are common tactics across paid search and organic for some of our clients, but we're looking at just the paid search information now, even though multiple channels have those tactics. What's a really cool way to represent that data, and you can see when I clicked paid search, the legend for this scatter plot in the top right updated with just the tactics that live there. And we can look at that, this information on a monthly basis. So what does this say? You can see this scatter plot is giving us information month by month. And you'll see as we go further throughout the year, closer to summer, you're going to see more information in this top right corner, which means we're driving more revenue and orders on a daily basis in those summer months. So that can inform how we think about 2017. When we start getting to those months in the current year, we're going to want to heavy up on our spend in those months to capture that demand. We can go even further with this. There are a lot of different ways that we can filter this data. We got geo information here that's subject to the same channels and tactics, and I can look and see what is happening on this map when I switch between different parts of this tree map at the top, and this will update to tell me which of these cities is driving the most revenue. And all of that is subject to timeframes as well. If I just want to look at that month in particular, I can do that, and it'll update automatically. But what I really like is this year-over-year section here. So this is a full forecasting model that's baked into the reporting. What this is doing is it's predicting what revenue is going to look like on a daily basis for the remainder of 2017 into 2018. And this is also subject to that same filtering. So I can look at that for just one of my tactics if I'd like. I can do it across both. And we can switch these metrics out too. You're not locked into revenue. We can switch that with cost with relative ease.
Can you look at trends, year-over-year trends, one on the other, so comparing the same period in different years?
Totally, yeah. So I'll show you an example of how we can do that when you ask a question of the data, but that's entirely possible. And that's sort of what this is doing here. That is a stacked graph out of 100% that's showing you which of the years is driving the most performance, but it can also be line graphs. So what you're seeing right now is the report environment, which each client team will get, but we can take information from some of the tabs that you've seen and put them in a dashboard that can be shared with other folks, or that data can be downloaded out of, or you can make a PDF from. So let's take a couple of these tabs that we like. This year-over-year one is personally my favorite. So we'll create a dashboard right now. You see the dashboard dialog box opens up here, and this is session 4 of this particular Insight Lab. So we'll make a session 4 dashboard. You see when I click that, I got a new item up here in the top left under dashboards. I'll go into it and you can see there's the tile it just created, and we can resize this if we want it to be a little bit bigger. And we can move it around if we have multiple ones. And I'm gonna show you that right now. We'll go back into the environment that we were just looking at. Let's take this tactics one, it's pretty cool. Love that time axis, that's one of my favorite features. And we'll pin that to the dashboard as well. So you can see we've got a couple different ways of representing those pages that we saw, and we can move these around and change the order and resize them as we see fit. But this goes even further than just those tabs that we created. So I can put this one at the top. What I was mentioning before is this feature, and this is my favorite thing in the whole environment, to ask a question about your data. So let's say we want to show these 2 tiles, but there's more to the story than what you're seeing here. You've got another key KPI. We've been talking about revenue a lot here, but you want to see what's happening with order volume. So we can ask the report that we just built what's going on with orders. So I can just type this in here. I'll put orders in, and you can see it's updating with information on the fly. Let's maybe look at orders and costs so we have another metric to compare it against. And let's see what's happening by tactic. So you can see as I'm typing in this stuff, it's creating different kinds of visualizations and guessing what makes the most sense for the data, but we can override that and put in exactly what we'd like. So here's orders and costs by all of our tactics. We just asked the platform that, it made a graph for us. We can just add that to the dashboard on the fly. So if you're in a situation where that repeatable deliverable isn't giving you exactly what you need, it's easy for you to iterate upon it as your goals change. So we can pin that back to session 4. We'll go back to that dashboard, and you'll see it at the bottom there. There it is, and we can resize that as well if we'd like. But this gets even cooler, okay? So there's our graph that we just generated on the fly. For any of these, it goes even a little bit further. iProspect folks in the room, pay attention to this because this is gonna be your best friend. This little light bulb here, related insights. So we're gonna take that question I just asked, orders and cost by tactic, and we're going to manipulate that same question in a bunch of other different ways. So you can see it's taking the question we just asked and showing you a lot of different ways you can represent that exact same data. So there's cost by month and device, there's orders by date, and any of these are subject to be pinned. Now why is this important? This is great for us because it allows us to find a lot of different ways to respond to the goals as they happen in real time, right? We can take the best of the graphs and the insights that we're seeing that this tool is generating for us and implement them back into the solution that we're providing for everyone. So we're constantly developing and constantly making this product better as the questions get better and better. So we'll go back to that dashboard real quick and then I guess open it up to questions?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's that other chart we just created, and we can do that with any of the insights that you saw. But that is the core of how this works. We can move this around if we see fit, and you've got a full dashboard here at play.
Yeah, so what does this mean for you? So iProspect is continuously dedicated to making sure that we can give you a strong foundation to make your decisions and to drive that business performance. So have those conversations with your AD, have those conversations with your teams, take a look at all the data that could be possibly available to you. Throughout 2017, we are going to start to onboard our current clients onto this. So you may be one of the first client teams to come on, or it may be a little bit later in the year. But ultimately, what we want to make sure is that we're taking a full big picture look at everything that's available that you're doing, so that if you're doing a campaign with one decision over here, that it's working for and in the benefit of the campaign that's over here. So whatever we want to do, we want to make sure that we take into consideration every moving part so that they're all moving towards the same goal.
Cool.
Are there any questions? We have a few minutes left. So with everything that you saw in this dashboard, is there anything that we could show you some more, or anything that you're pondering in your heads at the moment?
What can it do for SEO reporting?
Great question. So that's one of the channels that we support right off the bat. We collect ranking data, we collect analytics data, we collect technical data, and we collect volume data, and all of that can also be represented in this environment. So the way you saw us filtering through those metrics and dimensions and such is also available here. And what's nice about the web platform is it can integrate stuff at a much lower level than something typical like Excel can. So we can get real nitty-gritty with it or stay very high level.
Are there any other questions? Yeah.
What's the timeline look like for onboarding and getting all those aggregators in?
Great question.
Yeah. So the way that when you come on to iReport, what we do is we actually build a data mart. Our technology team builds a data mart to automate a lot of that input, and then we connect it with the visualization piece. So to kick everything off, we have a conversation with the team, take a big picture look at what you currently have, where your data currently is, and then we can set that timeline as far as when that data mart will be created, what additional steps need to happen in order to, and if there's any data cleaning that needs to happen, that'll also impact that timeline as well.
So it depends on the number of channels, right?
as well as that.
We'll source this, and so it can take anywhere from like probably 3 to 6 weeks, the entire process.
And the vendor partners that were up there are already all integrated.
We can go back to that too so y'all can see that.
Next piece.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue to add more
Yep.
over the year.
Yep, exactly.
We're gonna continue to add more, yeah.
But right now, you get this right out of the box. This all comes right away.
Yep. Yeah, this is going to continue to develop. As mentioned, this is built by iProspect for iProspect, and so it's built for you. So definitely keep those conversations happening. Ask questions as you move through the rest of the Insight Labs, and you hear about all this data, and you're like, wow, you know what? I'm kind of interested in that piece. Jot down a note and take it back with you. We have about 4 more Insight Labs left, so you're going to hear a lot more information. And the thing about reporting is it's bringing it all together. So all those pieces that you're hearing are all capabilities that we can provide for you and things that we want to support you with. So things that these Insight Labs were all picked because they were items that we hear a lot from our clients. There are a lot of those questions that are kind of around these pieces. And so that's really where it kind of all comes together at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is an idea-driven thing, and this doesn't operate if there isn't a two-way street for understanding what the business needs in that current moment. So all of your feedback, all of your criticism, everything you're thinking about this report, what it's doing and what it's not doing is valuable for us as we continue to develop this and make sure it responds to your needs. So this isn't what, it doesn't stop here. It's flexible for a reason, and we want to be able to showcase it in that way.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
So the back-end revenue data, right? So we would have to basically pull that into like a double click in the paid area, and then it gets, because I didn't see like a Salesforce integration or anything.
Correct. Yeah. So DoubleClick is our primary vendor for collecting that type of information.
And then you feed it.
Yep. Exactly.
I didn't see affiliation among the channels. Is there
Say that one more time.
Affiliates.
affiliate channel?
Yep, affiliation is not supported in version 1, but as the product continues to develop, that is something that's on our radar for the next release. All right, so we unfortunately don't have any more time to hang out with you today. we are getting the door opening hint. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.